Xavier, thank you so much for joining us here at IMpower in Monaco. Top of the agenda this week is lots to do with tech, disruption, adaptation and adoption of tech. And where would you say we are generally in terms of fintech in 2023 in this industry?
Thank you very much for the invitation. And yes, you put a good question. You know, with the awakening of AI, in particular generative AI, and so on, we know now the mega trend is there. And in particular in fintech, this is the items today in FundForum. You will see a lot of application for wealth management and asset management with AI. And in order to move on efficiency in terms of wealth management, and we see the emergence of Web3 in finance and decentralized finance with a lot of application for wealth and asset management, clearly, yeah.
Have you seen any sort of hiccup or pause in that sort of accelerated adoption of this in terms of the environment we're in economically? Has there been any sort of hesitation, or do you think it's just powering on despite high inflation, high interest rates?
No, clearly it's acceleration. As you mentioned, we made a lot of R&D during many years. It's a turning point now with the launch of OpenAI and ChatGPT. You use a brick of artificial intelligence in order to improve fraud, to improve asset allocation, and to integrate now blockchain or even crypto and digital asset on asset allocation. We see a lot of players now get a license with the right regulation. It's clearly an acceleration backed by the technology. It's one of my job every day with my company INVYO to provide data, in particular in private equity, to improve the deal flow by NLP and data, you know, smart data.
You described an awful lot of progress there in lots of different areas. Is there anything specific you're seeing the greatest opportunities in terms of tech, and who is responding positively and dynamically at the moment in this market?
Clearly, in the fintech, you have different subsectors, neobank, wealth tech, insurtech, and the big trend at the moment is clearly the emergence of Web3 and DeFi applied to finance, financial services, clearly. And when you see the buzz in terms of news is now in alternative investment, the integration of asset allocation of digital assets. Clearly, when you see the move of JP Morgan, of BlackRock, of Cassis also, it's clear a big trend as today.
Is there any argument that caution needs to be applied a little bit here with this very accelerated adoption, and where is regulation in all of this?
Thank you for your question, because in fact, as a French, we are deeply involved in European regulation. In fact, the MiCA regulation has been adopted a few weeks ago now. It's the most advanced regulation for digital asset. Of course, it's not perfect, because we request to European Commission and French government to have a balanced regulation in order to make a business. It's a new industry, and also to give a compliant ecosystem in order to make a business. And now we have Web2 players. Web2 players means the traditional financial services such as BlackRock, JP Morgan, Société Générale now are very interested by this new trend and opportunities to provide this kind of investment to their clients, in particular for wealth management, ultra high net worth client, in order to provide a safe product such as ETF on Bitcoin. You have a lot of requests to the regulator, and now with under the umbrella of MiCA, it's possible to get also staking services. You put your money in deposit invested on the token, and you get high interest rate. In inflation period, it's very interesting to have to earn more than your inflation in your country. You have a lot of things coming, in particular with smart contract also, and avoid human being employees to make the bad job. It means the administrative, and for human beings to be focused on the advisory.
5 years ago, would you have anticipated seeing where we're at in terms of tech adoption? And is that a result of sort of the rapid move to digitisation because of the pandemic, because society went, everything has to now be digital so that it will work? Or is that just something that was going to be happening anyway? How do you think that's evolved, and what do you anticipate in the next 5 years, given what we've seen happen so rapidly in the last couple?
It's funny because during many years I worked for Credit Suisse, and Credit Suisse design has the other UBS, Morgan Stanley and so on, the mega trend. And 10 years before, we already predict this trend, but we don't know how and when it will happen. And now it happened now. And I told you, as a specialist of Web 2 and Web 3, this trend start, it will not stop, and will accelerate now with the democratization of artificial intelligence and machine learning, for sure. And it's a good thing for everybody, because it will open some financial services to more affluent clients thanks to the blockchain and tokenization. It's clearly a good thing for my point of view, for business perspective, for the current player and for the new player with additional financial services.
So it's a democratization that you're talking about there.
Exactly, democratization and accessibility for everybody for this kind of wealth management services.
So what will you be focusing on in the next 12 months with all of that in mind? What's going to be your key area of interest and opportunity?
In terms of business, is clearly to go on to develop my company INVYO, in particular to provide the right data for private asset and for private equity firms, in order for them to select the best target in terms of investment, clearly hire talent, in particular tech talent, because it's challenging also. Now it's very expensive at the moment to find the right talent, and and to go on to grow and service my client, wealth management company, financial services, banks and private equity, for sure. Yeah.
Sounds like an exciting year ahead for you, Xavier. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Great to talk to you.
Thank you to you.